Alright, today is Monday and I have a lot of stuff to go through here. I was trying to get back on my after school specials project, but it could be costing me upwards of $3,000 or more to finish off that collection. So I'm going to have to abandon that for right now. There's no way around it. Sellers don't want to budge on their prices, even with the sales. Again, I mentioned numerous times that prices went up by $15 just in 1 year for every single photograph, and some of the shippings have gone up to $9 and $10. I mean, people are charging for just a little newspaper clipping $9.50 to ship that, because but there's no reason to do that. Do you need insurance on that? All fun and crazy? No, you need none of that. But I got something in the mail that basically was free shipping, and it weighs more than one stinking little newspaper clipping the size of a baseball card. So everything is just skewed these days. But we'll get into what I want to talk about. And I've got some autographs today. I found this a picture on my computer and reminded me of something here, so I'll go to this particular video. Somebody has posted a video, I don't know how long ago, 4 years ago. This is the All Sesame Street closing signs from season 1 to 14, so essentially 1969 to 1983. And this is Maria Sonia Manzano, I think that's her name there. And I got that picture signed by her, so she signed that picture for me of this particular one right here. I thought that was really awesome of her to do that. What's really bothering me is that I had a free uninterrupted image without any kind of numbers and bandicam.com garbage on there. People, I guess, don't remember that there is a free Windows and print screen button on your keyboard that you can save images from without having to basically cut and paste from other people's videos and that thing. I couldn't find this image uninterrupted for the most part, so I don't know where I got my image, so maybe that website has since closed up. But I was only able to make it a 4x6 because it's not a very high quality image, when you blow it up to 8x10. That's what I would normally like to do for some of my celebrity signers. But somebody had thought maybe this would be a great idea to get everyone signed by somebody. Most of these people have since passed away. But some of these are just really, really cool, and a lot of the people just don't sign. They're just way too famous. But it's just really cool because I remember the close. That's what I waited for when Sesame Street was over. All the little clips and little things that they had in the ending, not to mention the funky chimes. But that would be kind of a fun project for somebody to do, is even make a scrapbook just of all the different ones, and somebody has supposedly all of them. One little footnote here, and I can't usually get to it because of the commercial that gets in the way, and I can't always find it here, but did you know that Charlotte Rae, who was in Different Strokes, she was kind of like I don't know if she was a neighbor or the den mother to Willis and Arnold, and then she was also the den mother technically in Facts of Life. So that was just kind of interesting. So she was a postal lady or something like that in the Sesame Street in the 70s for like a year or two. I thought that was kind of cool. So let's just get into some of the autographs here. We'll talk about some other things while I open them up here. You can see all my quirky stamps here. One kind of ripped there. It's an interesting stamps there. And then this was from Harv FJ. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, that's out of Nashville, Tennessee. Then here's a business reply mail envelope that I repurposed, so I put a sticker over it and threw some stamps on it. Then another one here, which I used a crazy bunch of stamps on here. We'll do this one here first. And a lot of people are talking about grading is a scam right now, and how the upcharging. And ever since that I had been to the LCS many years ago, many years ago, I believe there's only one card in here. Get Norm Miller out of the way here. Hopefully you can see that well enough. There's Norm Miller. I don't have the lights. Move this out of the way here. We don't need that. Norm Miller here, so that's cool there. And the only reason why I sent it is because it's a 69 that I'm sort of working on there. I don't remember if that was, I think that was one I might have purchased recently. I don't remember, or I had it. I just wanted that 69 cents, so that's very cool to have that one there. But this grading is a scam type of thing right now, And one time I was at the old LCS, which has changed hands like 3 times since then, 2 or 3 times, and it changed the time before that one. But he had the guy had a encapsulated postage stamp, and I believe it was Roberto Clemente. I couldn't remember sure who but it was like one of those stamps from Cuba or some other country. They just made stamps for the heck of it. They were not usable stamps, but people thought they were. They usually had a cancel or no cancel, and on 99% of the time they had gum on the back of the stamp. So that means it was never used. So somebody had encapsulated it, one of these companies, and put it at a 10. And I was looking at it, I was like, hey, that's a good deal. I don't remember it was $7 or $10 to buy it, but it was too much for me. The main reason, because somebody had put it in there was a big fingernail or thumb crease right in the middle. So whether it was out of a stamp album or what have you, but they creased it while they're trying to get it into the holder there. And it was no longer a 10, but the grading company that had this unofficial stamp from any country was, so there was no copyright infringement there. They were just taking something, and their opinion was a 10 for every single item that they had, so they just printed up 10 labels and made everything a 10. Ridiculous. Then one of the other times I went into the LCS, and let's get another envelope going here. We'll do the eBay purchase next. This guy that used to work at the grocery store, I had no idea he was at a card collector, but he had a 48 leaf or something like that football card, and he had a sad look on his face, and I said, what's going on? And he said, oh, well, I got to resubmit this to PSA because they labeled it wrong. This was like 10 plus years ago or something crazy. Very, very nutty and insane. And speaking of nutty and insane, that's how my package is all put together here. So we got this little strip of paper here from whatever that would have been. Then we got this weird triangle-shaped piece of cardboard to protect the cards. So there's a weird triangle there that's been cut open there. And there's my cards here. And I'll see if this is anything just to I don't know, just, it feels like, comic book cardboard. So maybe they had a bunch of backer boards or something. And then we've got 2 cards here. Actually 3 cards here. One was in a penny sleeve here. Really good condition for what they are. And this is, sorry dummy, you can't join the Angels. And that was my mistake. I already had that one, but it's a 2-star variant. So I figured I'll throw that in the 2-star variant section there, meaning 2 asterisks down here, but it's right on the front of the card. And I mention that because COMC is now differentiating those. So now you have crazy, like multi-thousand Charlie's Angels. This one here, unfortunately, is way off-centered, but nothing I can do about this. This is Gorgeous Girl right there, so that one will finish off another card there. I'm just getting very, very close. And Kelly and Chris, because these stickers can be up there. And people were selling stickers that were missing the outside border, and people were buying them not realizing the border was missing. And this is card number 43, so it's almost towards the end of that. So there is that one. But from early on, I knew grading was very subjective, it was very biased, and basically it was just kind of a mess. And I say, well, surely it can only get better, because when things have problems like eBay or COMC or whatever, people, if they want to stay in business these days, they don't make mistakes. But what I didn't plan on is having places like eBay and PSA and these companies making crazy tons of mistakes, but people still buying into drinking the Kool-Aid. So we have this one from Oklahoma City here. I think I might know who this is, but I'm not sure. It's been a little while since this envelope has been gone. The envelope didn't get sealed, so funny how it didn't get sealed. But these are Gil Morgan, and it's interesting. So Gil Morgan, he's the one that uses the golf flag. It's on his shirt there, but he signs with the golf flag there, and that should finish up Gil Morgan for me. So this is the 81 Donruss, I think, and then the 82 is the more expensive, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the 81 Donruss. Gil Morgan right there, signed in black pen, and then he signed in ballpoint right by his name. So he probably has signed these before. But I wanted at least that checklist card signed. Don't overpay on these checklists, because again, a lot of the product was sealed until recently, or relatively recently. People just open it up and set it off to the side. So nobody basically ever used the checklist. So it's just another card in the set. You want to make sure that, you know, you don't overpay for checklists, because again, checklists in the old days were actually used, and checklists in the modern era were never used. We have another one here from, I'm not exactly sure where, it's kind of blacked out there, but it's right on the commercial aviation stamps there. Again, I did not pay full price for most of those stamps, so, you know, bear in mind that's one thing. Now, this is from Tom Egan. And Tom Egan, and I think I had both these cards. I don't think I had to buy these, but I have a 69 Topps Tom Egan. The thing about 69 Topps is that they're very affordable cards there for the most part. You know, so you can get them on eBay for free shipping, $1. Sometimes you can get bundle deals for even less than $1. And you can get relatively crease-free examples. This one has a bend in it because the envelope got bent, unfortunately. So these cards are both creased, sadly. So they went from crease-free to creased cards there, but that's the risk you take, whatever envelope you've chosen to send. And then there's a 70 Tom Egan there. No logo on his hat there, logo on his hat there. Again, why would you blot out the logo if it says Angels right here? No understanding, unless he was wearing a different hat at that particular time. But yeah, it looks like Angels right there, and nothing on his cap, and maybe his cap had nothing, but it looks like it just been altered. We don't know. Maybe he was going to be traded and they just did that. I have no idea. So, you know, nothing outstanding or special, but really cool to have something come in. You know, again, it gets very demoralizing. I could call this Through the Mail Monday, but that title has already been stolen. Oops. So I'll just call it Mail Monday or Monday Mail or something like that. You know, something that everybody uses. Again, it's mail that came in on Monday, literally. Whether I choose to upload it on Monday. You know, I got a few things to go out here. I'm going to send out the Matt Galante card here when I get a chance here. Oop, that stuck there. So I'll get some more stamps on this one here. More than a whopping 4 cents there. But again, repurposing envelopes is what I like to do. You know, there's no sense, and somebody had mentioned this, you know, I have a sign that says keep your community clean. You know, when I hit the Goodwill bin store, maybe if I choose to later this afternoon or evening, I always like to find stuff that's going to be wasted and then saved. This box of envelopes was from the state of Oregon. They gave away a box of free envelopes, 500 envelopes. I'm not going to say no. You know, it's more difficult to use them, but then I was able to use all these fancy stickers here, and that might prompt a response for somebody who doesn't sign very well, or they might see that and sign faster for me, or it just might irk somebody to no end, or they might think it's junk mail. There's a trade-off for that sort of thing. So it's just really cool that I haven't got any golf cards from this set signed in a long time. So if Justin or whoever, Scott, you know, Spalding, or any of these people that are watching, you can get Gil Morgan on these cards. There's other people that are doing the golf right now. And again, Tom Egan seems to be a good signer there. Unfortunately, my card's got a little bent, but that's what you get. You buy the most mintest cards there. But again, these cards were only $1 or less to get those cards, and not a big deal. You know, and a good example here is these were less than $1 to get, these Steve Carltons. Now I have 3 1984 Steve Carltons, and my entire life was devoid of 1984 Steve Carltons because they were not at the LCS, they were too expensive, or they had really rough corners. So I guess that'll be the video today for me, and thank you for watching.